Okay, we are here with my cousin Jennifer and my cousin Terry, and we do not have the technology to do anything other than to give you shots of two of the three of us or do something. There we go. They can move in for one. There you go. That's
This
nice.
is totally natural.
Okay, so we're here and we're talking a little bit about part of the idea for Southern Gothic was surrounded about the books that we all read and encouraged each other to read. Southern, scary, creepy, whatever. And Jennifer was the one who, and Terry suggests occasionally, and I suggest occasionally, but Jennifer is the queen of this. And so I just wanted to go over a few of those books, and some of them we all read, some of them it was just a couple of us, but the one that I remember, the first one you telling me was Harvest Home by Thomas Tryon, and I don't know if you read that one or not.
I don't think so.
But that was such a great, creepy ending. It's not set in the South. It's set in Massachusetts or somewhere up in the East. But what do you remember about that one?
I remember it reminding me of The Lottery, right? The short story.
Yeah, right.
And actually, another cousin, not on this side of the family, my cousin Kathy recommended Harvest Home to me, gave me a copy of it, and I think I sent it to you. And it's not, I don't know that it's even in print anymore.
No, it's not an easy one to find, but that is such a good book.
It is. And I had to read The Lottery and the short story, I think, in high school. And Kathy said, well, if you like this, there's something very similar. So anyway, that's what turned me on.
And it has a very sad ending, but it's creepy and sad too. It's a good one to if it ever comes up. That's a good one. Now, what about Prince of Tides? Did you read Prince of Tides?
I don't remember, honestly.
That was another one that you introduced me because I was coming to Charleston.
Yep. And I remember, part of it's in Atlanta, right? At the the Candler estate or something. Anyway. Gosh, I hadn't read that in a really long time. Seen the movie recently,
but that's one we need.
And the story on the anyway, when you find out the character, the Nick Nolte guy. Anyway, when you find out what happened when he was young, it's just it makes sense.
Well, that's a really great kind of epic, story. And then, of course, we also had our ghost story moments in Fountain Campground, and that's kind of part of the book. And of course, Terry and I created a ghost story for Fountain.
Yeah.
Because we just kind of felt like, well, we were supposed to watch some other younger kids, and so we took them out. And I don't think they thought it was nearly as cool as we did.
I don't think they were part of the ghost story generation. We could scare each other just on this.
And that was we go to an old time what would you call it, camp meeting. And that's a great place just to be out in the wilderness. Part of the reason I loved it when I was a teenager was because I was with all the pretty Georgia girls for a whole week. That was like the best thing.
Doesn't get any better.
And so, do you remember any good ghost stories? What was your favorite?
I don't remember necessarily ghost stories, but I remember one of the most fun parts was going down the dirt road and seeing how far you could walk before you had to turn your flashlight on.
Right.
Or not even taking the flashlight.
Not right.
Right.
That was the ultimate
hardcore
bravery.
Yes, hardcore. Making it to the bridge, sitting down, and talking about the scariest things.
And the bridge is a little wooden bridge that is just amazing that it holds any weight at all.
And it's amazing that vehicles actually travel over the bridge.
Knowingly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then, of course, there was, then one year I wasn't there that night, but someone scared y'all.
Well, no, Rob Blevins and Steve Phelps would get under the bridge, the snakiest.
And reach up between the slats and touch your ankles and
And I thought, they are so
they're nuts.
Yeah, crazy.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a specific story. There was one about a dog and a drip, drip, drip. Does anybody remember
sink.
that one?
Yeah. There was somebody staying in a house, and they knew that everything was okay. There had been a convict that had escaped from the prison.
Yes.
And they knew that everything was okay because their dog was not barking.
Yes.
And so, but all during the night, they heard a drip, drip, drip.
Yes.
And then they went and they opened the underneath the sink, and the dog's was in there. That was the dog dripping.
Yes.
Instead of barking.
The dead
I remember
dog.
that one.
I do remember that. But
And then your acid man story.
Yeah, but I don't even. It's funny you remember that because I don't. I remember I was at Camp Mishimoka
Yeah.
in Bat Cave, North Carolina.
That was a bat. Yep.
And you would hear him
Camp
whistling
story.
every once in a while, Acid Man. Do you remember?
I just remember that you were that you saw something when the
Something about
laundry was
on the
out,
line, yeah.
and you heard something, and you know you were for a while. I could have quoted that story verbatim.
Right.
It's like verboten and
You had
verbatim
it.
put together.
You had it from memory. Had it in your head.
And so that was no, we're not. So that was a good one, but it was more the setting. Like anything that you said there would have been creepy because you're sitting out on a bridge with
In the pitch black
yeah,
dark.
and
middle
then
of
of
the
course
woods.
there was Jennifer and Terry encouraged us to get up one morning and steal other kids' bicycles and drive or just see what else was on the other side of the road, and then we couldn't wake them up, so everyone else went with us. And that was, at least as far as I know, the day we discovered the little moonshiners cabin
And the
out in
stories
back.
that go with that. Those stories change every so often.
That's what the younger kids have caught on.
It was an
to,
old
is
country
the-
store in
Yeah.
reality, but I think
We call it the
I think we were the
Moonshiners.
ones that called it the Moonshiners because there was an old cranky moonshiner
Mm-hmm.
that lived there, and he hated kids, and so anytime kids would venture close by, he would come out and get them.
Yeah, eat them.
Yeah, so we, I don't know, that was all, I mean, that was our growing up.
And
you
our,
know,
and our
that's,
snipe hunting.
Yep,
You know,
taking people
through the
snipe
woods.
hunting.
And what was
night.
the something about we would go, I mean, traipsing through the woods, not even on a path, looking for pieces of wood that glowed in the dark.
Foxfire.
Foxfire, yeah.
Mhm.
And if you, I don't remember, but I don't even know if we ever found any, but if you found some, what were you supposed to do?
I don't know that there was any supposed to do. I don't.
I just remember
anything.
traipsing through the woods in the middle of the night, in the dark, no flashlight, and thinking of all these scary stories that we had told the night before, looking for pieces of wood that glow. And
I remember when we would. I just remember some of the books that we would read up there. Then you'd try to go to sleep at night, and I mean, you'd just be. I mean, not.
And you couldn't.
You'd always do that, but I mean, I remember a Clive Barker book that you recommended.
Yeah, what was? I haven't read that. I
The
haven't thought about that
Damnation
author.
Game. That's what it was. I
Yeah.
couldn't tell you what it was about, but I remember that was a good freaky story.
And I love Ghost Story,
Yeah.
Peter Straub book, and then I mean we would read. I would read Stephen King. You
Yeah.
guys did that.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
That
Yeah.
was-
Oh, and you were the one that told me about Mrs. Todd's Shortcut, the short story.
yeah. I don't remember that.
Well,
I did.
yeah, you did. It was really great. That was a really good one. My favorite. Oh, go ahead.
The Lonesome Place. Did you guys read that?
No, I didn't.
Okay, that's another.
What was the one about the thing in the woods that would camouflage itself? Do you
Predator.
No, not predator. It was more like a dragon thing that would camouflage itself. It looked like a mountain one time, and then did y'all read that one?
No,
I don't
I
even
didn't.
remember the name of the book.
One that I remember. What was that one a few years ago about, that was kind of similar to Harvest Home? What was that one called? That ended up with the plantation out in the woods and
Across the River.
across the river.
Yeah, that's a
Mhm.
yeah.
So you've always been my go-to
Yeah, definitely.
fountain scary book person.
Definitely.
Across the river. Those across the river. Maybe.
Those across the river. I remember y'all talking
Yeah.
about that one. I have not read it.
And but then I don't know, that just kind of, when I started thinking about, new thing to write, I thought, well, what would Jennifer like to read? What would Jennifer want to refer to her friends?
You hit the nail on the head because, The Intern, that's a very well-written book. It's just kind of not my genre.
Right.
And then, when I read the title Southern Gothic, I was like, yeah. I love the show American Gothic. Did you guys watch that when that was on?
No.
Sometimes.
I didn't ever watch it, but yeah, that.
No. Well, no.
What?
You're gonna have to. Can you edit this?
Yeah.
Because that was the wrong name.
That was the wrong name.
We'll either edit that or not edit that. And then you guys became blood brothers. I was never a part of that.
Okay, can I just tell that story real quick?
Yes, you sure can. Please do.
So I remember myself as like having really good ideas, but being the cowardly lion. And so Dale and Terry, I would have wonderful ideas, and then like, you guys do it though. And so we wanted to be blood brothers, and I was afraid to cut myself. So we had these metal folding chairs, and I stood up too fast one time and just sliced my leg, and I was like, okay, now's the time.
So Terry
grabbed a steak knife and sawed her leg, and that's the way I remember. We became blood brothers. Yeah.
And I'm sure now the entire world would dislike that. That would totally
That's just
be
not
so
a thing.
inappropriate.
Yes, that was so. It's just dangerous. That's all. You don't do that these days.
Oh, that was a good one. And then we went to North Carolina one time looking for me a college.
Yes.
And that was another one of those scary storytelling kind of things. That was fun. And then
to Duke.
I was trying to think of other things that people don't get to do like we did, like when we were at Fountain and stuff. I mean, because I just think that's always interesting to people when they get to hear about something that they didn't get to do themselves. So,
well, I mean, the
Fountain,
traipsing through the woods and
Fountain is basically, they call them tents. They're not really tents. They're cabins with sawdust floors.
With no doors.
With no doors.
No doors.
And no glass windows or anything like that.
Floors, no.
And so...
And we were never bitten by a snake.
Right.
Or a scorpion or a poisonous spider.
Never.
No one ever
Even though you worried greatly about that.
Spent a lot of time fretting. Yeah.
I did lose my glasses one time.
Well, you also, before church...
Yeah, that was in the same instant.
Oh, yeah. Tell that story.
Yeah, okay, so
I remember that.
There was this rope swing that went out over this man-made, I don't even want to call it a pond. Mud puddle, yeah, man-made,
really big,
huge
really
mud puddle
big
that we would go swimming in. Very snaky. And right after supper, before church, there was like an hour between the two. Jennifer and I and our friend Lisa went down to swing on the rope, which was forbidden between supper and church time. But
because usually you had your church clothes on already.
Yeah, you had your church clothes on, all of us. And so we're swinging, and somehow Lisa and I ended up on the rope together. And I lost my grip, so we both go tumbling down. We did not land in the water, thankfully. But in the tumble, we got very dirty, very leafy, and my glasses disappeared. So, and we were terrified that we were going to get in trouble, so we sneaked back up behind the tent and got Poppy.
Oh, yeah.
And Poppy went back down.
Jennifer's
grandfather. He went back down there with a rake or a hoe or something and was able to find my glasses.
Oh.
And so Poppy saved the day. We did get in trouble for dirtying our, getting our church clothes dirty, but that was quite the adventure. And it's just a good story to tell.
Well, and what I remember too is trying to, we would go climb the hill, and we would pour jugs of water down it, and it was red mud, which would turn into just the slickest thing you've ever
that's the slickest surface there is.
Yes.
And it was a challenge to see if you could get down that before church in your church clothes and not be orange.
And not be orange because because when you did it before church and it was okay to get dirty, man, did you? I mean,
you got dirty.
You got very dirty. And looking at that hill today, we were crazy. Do you know how steep that hill is?
And there are roots. I mean, I remember, we broke no bones at Fountain, right?
No.
Stung by a lot of yellow jackets. That's the worst thing that ever happened.
Bee stings and really just
and mosquito bites.
And
And the occasional